brought my box. I'm sure you can. I'm short on one end, so you got to use my box. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. But frankly, isn't it sad that we have to be here? That's the real issue. Isn't it sad that we actually have to be here? If college presidents actually did their jobs, Jewish students would actually feel safe on their campuses. Imagine that. But guess what? College presidents are failing. And I would argue they are failing miserably. Jewish students don't feel safe. According to a recent survey, 81% of Jewish college students avoid certain places, events, and situations. Even worse, more than half say they've witnessed faculty members making offensive anti-Semitic statements. These are faculty members. This is happening right here in America. Doesn't sound like America, does it? Our campuses, and they are happening on our campuses all across the United States. House Republicans on the Ed and Workforce Committee this week will demand accountability. As a member of the committee, I look forward to asking those presidents what they are doing and what they intend to do about the rise of anti-Semitism on their campuses. And if they're not doing anything, then I have a question. Why should they receive federal funding? My answer is clear. They shouldn't. Because you see, we have a choice too, and it's high time we start instituting our choice. If students like the ones behind me don't feel safe, then I can assure you, maybe the university endowments shouldn't feel safe either. Or maybe if the presidents of these universities aren't willing to act, then perhaps I would offer them to take a tour of the Holocaust Museum right down the street so that they can be reminded of why we are so adamant that they do something to protect these students. These students that all they want to do is go to college to get an actual education and actually be allowed to go to class without harassment. Gee, that is so out of bounds, isn't it? Freshman Randy Fine, a Harvard graduate, is here to speak more on this. With him is his guest, Michael Kaminsky. Michael was unfortunately a victim of anti-Semitic violence. The president of that university will be at our hearing tomorrow, and the chairman of that hearing, a fellow Michigander, Chairman Tim Walberg, will lead that hearing. And I thank you for continuing to lead on this issue of holding these colleges and these universities accountable. There's no one better to lead that committee than you, Mr. Chairman, and I have all the faith and confidence in you that we will get to the bottom of this. And as Vice Chair of the Committee on Education and Workforce, we also have Mr. Owens here. Thank you, Mr. Owens, for being supportive of this as well. As you can see, this is extremely important to our leadership. And now I want to turn it over to our chairman of the Ed and Workforce Committee, Chairman Tim Walberg.
I thought I could come up in the world if you left that there. Michael, I want to add my grateful appreciation to each of you being here as well. We stood in this room for a similar press conference last year, and hoping that it would be the last one that we would need. I don't think that's going to be the case. History records the fact that, sadly, Jews are a useful whipping boy or girl for other ills that go on in society that are hidden, and sadly the Jews have to take that hit. My Jewish aunt, Della Goldberg Larson, would be proud to have her nephew in the chairmanship of this committee and continuing to do what's necessary to make sure that liberty and justice for all is here, including for our Jewish citizens and those that long to experience what this great country has afforded, at least in word, and now we want to make sure it's done in deed and continues with freedom for all. Last Congress, this committee held multiple hearings on anti-Semitism. We brought in some of the so-called prestigious institutions to sit before us with their presidents. We saw shameful displays go on there with presidents that didn't understand, at the very least, I hope they just weren't turning their heads, but didn't understand at the very least the impact upon students and students' lives, their emotions, their stability. The fact that they were at an institution to gain wisdom and understanding and ultimately present to the world a completed student ready to carry on. And yet, they were putting situations in Ivy League schools where that couldn't take place for them. We also saw anti-Americanism develop from that as well. We saw the ugliness of DEI that was propagated, that didn't encourage inclusion, didn't encourage diversity, didn't encourage anything that America offers. And so we're going after it again. This time, we'll have the hearings tomorrow, and I'll be meeting with all of the presidents today in my office. I'm just waiting with bated breath, whatever bated breath is, to hear what they're going to say to justify what they are doing. Some are just doing in the last couple weeks to prepare for this hearing. And yet up until this time, it wasn't done. We have Haverford, a liberal arts college with 1,400 students in it, that has committed some of the worst atrocities that you could expect upon human beings, Jewish students, and supporters of Jewish students on their campus, and has given a lot of words, but no action until the last couple weeks. At Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, with roughly 22,000 students, on the other side of the world from where we're at, the type of violence that has gone on there, the statements saying we are going to stop this and then more or less keep on doing it with the hand signal has carried on, with students being blocked out of classes, with faculty joining arms with protesters and blocking students from going to parts of the campuses, and violent attacks. And then at DePaul University, the largest Catholic university in the United States, the largest Catholic university in the United States. Many people think it would be Notre Dame, but Notre Dame isn't, but Notre Dame's handling this issue appropriately. We believe that DePaul needs to do that. And you'll hear from a student today who is not only spurned for being a Jew, but also was assaulted. One who's preparing for military service, wants to serve the country and serve his people, but was beaten trying to defend another student, friend of his, who was knocked out, laying on the ground defenseless. You'll hear about that. People have said, why do you carry this on? And we said, we have to. And we have to show it's not just at the elite Ivy League institutions or Northwestern University or some that we had in front of us, but it's all over. And because of that, even now we're seeing it go into K-12 settings. I just heard on a teletown hall last night an incident in my district that we are checking out right now of anti-Semitic statements at a high school level class that was allowed to go on. This can't be the case. Because I look around the room, every one of us is impacted if we allow this to continue. If this is the education we allow to be fostered in this country, what takes place for all of us, whether Jewish, whether Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, America that is a place of freedom for all. We cannot allow one specific group to be that whipping boil. So whether it's Ivy League institutions or whether it's small private religious schools or polytechnic universities, we're going to take action on it till we go across the land and make sure that that is not acceptable across the land. And we begin to restore the greatness of America for its people and anyone here. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to have a vice chairman of my committee who also wears a Super Bowl ring. He's tough. He can deal with issues, but he has a compassionate heart over this issue as well. So, Burgess, come ahead.
Let me start off by saying this is 2025, my friends, not 1960s when I grew up in the Deep South. See, I grew up in Jim Crow South. I know what hate looks like. Also know what it looks like when institutions turn their eye the other way. What we're seeing on college campuses today isn't activism. It's intimidation. It's harassment. In many cases, it's pure, unfiltered hatred of Jewish people. Let me be clear, there's no justification, none, for chanting in support of the evil terrorist group Hamas. There's no gray area when it comes to glorifying rape, torture, and the murder of innocent men, women, and children. Colleges in the past have been dealing with, they deal with speech they don't like. When it comes down to mobs calling for the destruction of Israel, they suddenly lose their spine. This is not a free speech issue. It's a public safety issue. It's a moral issue. And when every school that allows this chaos to continue needs to lose all federal funds. I'm calling for every university president, every trustee, every donor to take a stand and do your job, or step aside. We will not stand by while colleges become the breeding grounds for hate. We are the country of becoming a more perfect union. I've witnessed it since the 60s. We had become a more perfect union because we understood education was at the core of our values, of our culture, and look at each other the way God looks at us from inside out, not outside in. And we'll get back to that, my friends. We will not stand by while colleges become the breeding grounds of hate, not on our watch, not on Secretary McMahon's watch, and certainly not on President Trump's watch. I just want to say, for you courageous Jewish students, you remind me of the 1960s when it was the young black students that stood at those counters and fought against the hatred at that time. Thank you for your courage. Our country knows it and sees it. We have something called empathy, and we will respond accordingly. I can't say enough about our leadership. Our chairman is not only compassionate, he's wise, he has institutional knowledge, and he's the right man for the moment. So I'm excited about what you guys are going to witness as we continue to get our country back on track. Thank goodness we're living in a time we're seeing our friends, so get ready. Appreciate it. And is it Randy? Randy, come on up, buddy.
Well, thank you all for being here. You know, there's a lot of things where people could be spending this time this afternoon, but to be in a room like this, which is standing room only, is incredibly encouraging to me. My name is Randy Fine. I'm the newest congressman. I got elected 1 month ago, and I am many things in my life. I'm an American, I'm a father, I'm a proud Floridian. But among all of those things, there's one thing that I am most proud of, and that is that I'm a Jew. And as a Jew, I have personally experienced the scourge of anti-Semitism. I experienced it my entire life, particularly as I grew up. And I made a solemn vow when my oldest son, who's now 17, was born, that he would not have to go through what his father did. And it is a vow that I have failed to live up to. You see, anti-Semitism today is as bad as it ever was when I was a kid. In fact, some can argue that it is even worse. So when I got elected to the Florida legislature 8 years ago, I said I was going to solve that problem. And if you look at the anti-Semitism you see around the country, we don't have as much of it in Florida because I was willing to fight that fight, often alone. So imagine my surprise. Imagine my joy and my gratitude and my appreciation that when I showed up here 4 weeks ago, for the first time, I had leaders that were as committed, if not more committed, to fight for this issue as I did. The two chairs that are right here, as well as our vice chair. Because the fact of the matter is, Jewish kids today are afraid. It's never been easy to be a kid going to college. Ask anyone. But no child should walk through campus today and wonder if they will make it from their dorm room to their classroom, or their classroom to the library, or the library to the dining hall, and they will be attacked. And that is not only happening, it is excused. And I would say encouraged at many of our institutions around the country. There are children that are scared to go to school, and in America, that is unacceptable. But for those of us that are Jewish, it is even more unacceptable, because core to our faith and who we are is a belief in the power of education to take us from where we were to where we want to be. So I will say this to every Jewish student that is here. I am here, and I will fight for you. And I will fight along these amazing leaders every day to make sure that we solve this problem. And I will do it for one simple reason. My son is going to be going to college in a year, and I'll be damned if he's going to be afraid to walk through that campus. Thank you all very, very much for being here. But it is now my privilege to talk about the horrors, to make it real, to talk about what actually does happen. This is not esoteric. This isn't something that you read on a page. Michael, who's going to speak, can show you the physical wound, the scar that he has, that he got not in a war on the other side of the world, a scar that he got on his college campus where his wrist was broken and he had to go to the hospital. Not because he was being attacked because they wanted to mug him or any other reason. He was attacked and he was hurt for one reason, because he was Jewish. And so I want you to come and tell us your story. Thank you for your bravery in being here to do it.
My name is Michael Kaminsky, and I'm a junior at DePaul University. On November 6th, my friend Max and I were attacked by two mass agitators simply for being proud American Jews. Prior to the attack, every week we peacefully advocated for Jewish students on campus. But that day, DePaul had just removed their security it previously put in place following an encampment, despite knowing that anti-Semitism was still a serious threat on campus. While Max and I engaged in respectful dialogue, one masked individual distracted us from the front, while his friend ambushed us from behind. They left us with injuries that required me having to get surgery on my wrist. All the while, a campus safety officer employed by the university stood just a few feet away and did absolutely nothing. As the attackers fled, other students did not come to our aid. In fact, you know what they said? They said we deserved it. To this day, only one person has yet to be arrested, and it is clear that Jewish students are still unsafe on their campus. Now is the time we finally hold our institutions accountable for festering Jew hatred and anti-Semitism on their college campuses. And I'm looking forward to the committee hearing tomorrow. Never again is now. May God bless the United States of America.
We talk about bringing stories to life. Unfortunately, that is a story that is true, and not only for Michael, but for several other college students. And we are here to bring an awareness, but an end and accountability. So I appreciate you coming, Michael. I know that took some courage, but thank you, because with you and with all of us, we will put an end to this. So for right now, I'll just take a few questions before we leave. Kelly?
Chairwoman, we obviously saw the Education Workforce Committee hold one of these hearings before, and a number of university presidents ended up resigning after the hearing.
Well, I'm an optimist by nature, so let me start with that fault. My hope, my expectation is that things begin to change. That's what my hope is. My hope is it's not about the university presidents. It's about restoring our college campuses to what they were intended to do, and that was educate. We should not be here talking about anti-Semitism, but we are. And what I can tell you is through Chairman Wahlberg, you already began to see actions, right? DePaul University is taking a little bit different stance on anti-Semitism right now. Unfortunately, it took us to call a hearing for that to happen. So my goal isn't to get these presidents fired. My goal is to get them to do their job.
Chairwoman, if you're disappointed by their answers tomorrow, would you push for legislation to possibly threaten defunding universities?
I am prepared, or I'll speak for me, if it's all right, if you disagree with me, is we're prepared to do whatever it takes to restore the college campuses so Jewish students and all students, I don't care what your race, your creed, your color, your religion, so all students feel safe on campus. That is part of their responsibility. So I can speak for me, and I think I speak for the people behind me. We will do whatever it takes to make sure that anti-Semitism is eliminated, it's addressed, but not just for Jewish students. I think we need to take a look at the safety of all college students. So one more.
I think I'd add one thing there as well, that we are prepared to do what's necessary, but we have a president who's already doing that. Just look at what's being done to schools. And we're not wanting presidents to resign unless they need to resign. I sat in office several times and on the phone with Columbia's president this year, hoping that we would see some courage to take action to start changing it. That didn't happen. Now the president is in negotiations with Columbia for a receivership. So there are aggressive actions being taken already, and we'll continue to do what's necessary. But I think that what this says, no institution is free from the oversight that we are going to give on this committee, whether large, small, whether a religious school or a private school. You're all under the gun to do what's right. We will support the right, we will oppose and push back on the wrong.
One more?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Mark in the back.
Mark in the back.
Following up on that last question, obviously you all in this committee have been having these hearings for a number of months going back to 2023 now. There was a major report in the last Congress. The administration, like Chairman Wahlberg said, has been taking some unilateral action. Are there sort of additional kind of statutory changes that you all in the committee are looking at? Where do you all sort of see this going over the next 2 years?
Again, we're going to do whatever it takes. It's a shame that we have to legislate safety. It's a shame that we have to legislate against anti-Semitism. I mean, think of what we're doing. But I think, as you heard the chairman say, we're prepared to take whatever actions necessary to make sure that the students are safe. So thank you. Thank you all for your time. Thank you again, Michael, for your courage. Thank you, Representative Fine and Chairman and Vice Chairman Wahlberg and Owens. But most of all, thank you for attending, and thank you for caring enough about this issue to report upon it. Be safe out there.